Adam, you got one? You want to start?
Well, Jake, this is a journey. I'm sure you want to get to being a head coach someday. This is probably not the way or the circumstance you'd like to get there. What was this process like for you of, I guess, getting the news and then weighing the decision of whether you wanted to accept being the interim guy or not? How did that play out for you?
Yes, what you said is certainly true. We've talked about my desire to be a head coach, and I've, as in recent years, gotten even more excited about doing that. These are absolutely not the circumstances I would have ever imagined. Getting an opportunity to kind of fill that seat. The hardest part about, I guess we're now 2 days removed. The hardest part was obviously my mind and heart immediately went to Holt, Lori, their family. I'm not going to get into details about the conversation with him. Didn't have a time to talk for a long time, but that was really hard. And when Gene asked me to step in, I don't know necessarily that decision was real hard at him. In that moment, I immediately thought about our guys, and I wanted to be there to support them. And if Gene felt like that was the best way to do that, then felt it was a duty to do that.
So what ultimately was Wednesday like for you then? I'm sure of phone calls, meetings, trying to get things rolling. Once that decision is made, what do you have to do?
Sure, I'll give you just almost like a brief timeline. So after I had met with Gene, I immediately called my wife, because by this time, things had been online. So after talking to her, we set up a meeting with the rest of the staff. Then we, as a staff, had a meeting at Fawcett. There was a meeting, with our players, and then we followed up as a staff with our players after that. After that meeting was over, I began calling at least one parent or family member of every player on our team, and began, with the help of our staff, setting up individual meetings for the next day with each player. And beyond that, there was an overwhelming amount of people reach out via text and phone calls that, the consensus was obviously just, people thinking about Holt. And then, I immediately was able to connect with some people that I trust to get some advice. But the first, between kind of when that happened all the way through to practice yesterday, it was a blur. It was a lot. But we have a great staff. Gene's been really helpful. But the hardest part is, for me personally, just full transparency, has been at times kind of maintaining focus on the task at hand, because you just heard for a guy you love so much. So I understand there's a job to do here. I'm excited about what's left in this season. It's going to get into certainly some questions here, but I'll cover some of this. I'm excited about what's left in the season and the opportunity in front of us. It's certainly going to be challenging, but we had a great practice yesterday. Our guys were hurting. There's no question about it. I'm not going to pretend like I can speak upon exactly how they were feeling, but there were a lot of different emotions, and we were able to, rally together. And in my opinion, felt like we won yesterday with a good practice. And I think we've met as a staff already today, and we're trying to focus on having another good practice today.
Jim, these guys have talked about how they're player-led, so player-led team. What have you seen from their response to players leading? And how do you balance trying to assert yourself in this kind of situation while letting guys like Bruce, Jameson kind of take over the team themselves?
Yeah, I think it became clear in practice. Again, everybody was processing this differently. And I encouraged our staff, I encouraged our players to process this, you know, that the day it happened, you gotta process this in whatever way's best for you. And when I met with guys individually, everybody was processing that differently. But it was really impressive the way our leadership was able to just bring guys together and help us have a really good practice. What I told them was, you know, at this point, with 6 games left, it's hard to make these like wholesale changes. But the best thing I felt that I could do for them, and the best way that I could serve them and serve this program, is be me and not try to, you know, be Holt or be someone else, but I needed to be the best version of me. So we changed some things in practice, not necessarily drills, but we changed the format a little bit to fit my personality, and it allowed me to be really authentic, and I think that was helpful. But make no mistake, our leadership of, you know, the guys who have been here, and it's certainly not to diminish how they feel, they care, they all made that very clear how much they care about Holt, but they were able to, you know, lock in and help us have a really good practice, so that was important.
When you say being me, what does that mean to you, and how does that kind of manifest in a day-to-day?
Yeah, I think our guys would probably tell you I operate with a passion and urgency and pace to things. So we tried to tailor practice around that, and I was very open with what I wanted it to look like, and you know, they embraced that. What I didn't want to do too is, certainly there's some new responsibilities, but I don't want to change it up either. Like after this, I'm going to go work out with a couple guys before practice, and you know, we're going to keep some of those things the same. But who I am and what I know to do is to do this, serve this program and these players as hard as I possibly can, with as much passion and energy as I possibly can. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, you know, I have some secret formula that's just all of a sudden going to make all the difference in the world. But I do know that I care, and I love these guys and this staff, and I care about this program. I care about serving this program well, not just for the guys currently in it, but the guys who have been a part of this program. You know, long before I got to be here. Certainly, my brother's connection means a great deal. But I've got, like, there's a lot of guys who have gone through and played in this program who are like family to me. And we talk a lot about family, and I think we have to come together, and that's got to be more important than ever. Aaron Kraft stopped by practice yesterday. Like, what a great example for our guys to see and understand. Like, this is bigger than themselves. This is bigger than us, and people care, and our guys care. Our guys care about finishing this well. That was evident by the way we practiced.
Jake, it may be too soon on this, and we can get some of this from Bruce, but sometimes when something like this happens, there's a chip on the shoulder. We're gonna prove they were wrong to do what they did. Have you picked up on any of this, a vibe of the guys saying, you know, kind of getting extra motivated through this, or is it too early, if that makes sense, like in their play and their attitude? I
think I understand what you're saying, and Bruce could certainly speak to that, you know, for him. And guys may have varying degrees of that. You know, for me personally, there's a job to be done, and there's a responsibility to do it well. And I do have an edge in that regard to do that really well. Again, you hurt because of someone who, you know, Holt has helped me a ton, and I'm a much better coach today than I was when I came here to work for him. And I think he's an excellent coach, and he is an even better human, and he taught me a lot. But my focus is to serve this program as well as I possibly can, and I only know how to do that with an edge. You know, the motivation of that edge. I don't know. there's a job to be done, and I need to do it really well, and Gina's trusted me to do that.
And you've stepped in, I think, twice, right? You've
2.5 if you want to be
Two-
technical. No.
Oh, that's right.
That's right, 2.5, and I think you've spoken before about this, but that difference between just moving over a seat. What did you learn through those experiences that have you ready for this?
Yeah, I think those experiences, right now, again, I'll just be as transparent as possible here. I feel really comfortable about the game, and those experiences certainly help with that. And, you know, I'm still processing exactly, now that we have a little more time, will some roles be different and things like that? Like, I'll have that answer here real soon. But I feel good and comfortable and ready to coach a game because of those experiences, and I'm absolutely confident in that. Some of the other stuff that goes into this role and how this has come about, those things are a little more challenging right now. And processing all that and navigating that space has been a little more challenging. That's as transparent as I can be. These other things that you're tasked with, they're hard. Meeting with you guys under these circumstances, like that's challenging.
You're feeling your way, in a sense.
To some degree, and I have some people who have a great deal more experience than I do in this profession who reached out to me and who have offered advice and thoughts, and you're taking all that in and you're figuring out what fits you best. And also leaning on our staff. You know, I make no mistake, this is going to take a whole collective effort. This isn't me, this is our staff and us, doing this as well as we possibly can. But yeah, there's some new things popping up. It feels like, I joked, I told my wife last night when I got home, she's like, how was it? I didn't hear from you. I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm sorry about that. And I just said, somehow I feel like we accomplished so much, but then I also feel like we didn't accomplish enough, at the same time, and with all the individual meetings and practice. So navigating it well, staff's been super supportive. Again, they're hurting as well. So, but we've done a good job collectively as a program focusing on the task at hand. We've done that, Holt has taught us that. And so we're staying focused on that.
Yeah, what's important for doing that? Just focusing on, this Purdue team that's coming in on Sunday, and I guess how do you compartmentalize and have the team get focused on that as opposed to the emotions that are going on with this?
Yeah, I think it's certainly well documented, the task that'll be at hand on Sunday. And our guys, we're going into that game to compete at the highest level and win. I understand that there's some areas that we got to get better, that we're working on addressing quickly. But they want to win this game, and so we're doing everything we can to get ready. We're going to be well prepared. I think our guys are excited. When you think about Sunday and the opportunity in front of us, they're excited about that, and that helps shift the focus. So we're very much taking a business approach with this, and we got to have a great practice today. They know that. We got to talk about that and reflect a little bit on how yesterday went, because I want their input on that, because it was different. But they know what's ahead of us. They know the opportunity. We talked about it. I explained to them the reality of kind of the unknown surrounding the circumstance we're in. That's real. But what I also explained to them is the reality of the opportunity that's in front of us. That is real too. And so we're focusing on that, and we're gonna do our best to give that all we got.
Obviously, like everyone's been saying, focus on the task at hand, Purdue, and you're stepping up for the program here and your emotions with the players, and you feel for Holt too. But for you and your career, this is also an opportunity, of course, to I guess as an audition to show what you can do as a head coach. I mean, how much does that enter your mind in this setting? And I guess can you speak to that opportunity a little bit too?
Yeah, I don't know that I've really spent any time thinking about that. I'm viewing this as almost like a stewardship of this program for the time being, and I want to really focus on doing that as best as I possibly can, because I care about this program so much, and our guys care about this program, and I need to care about them and spend all my mental space and energy on that. So I haven't really given that much thought or really had time to process that. I think certainly, we'll reflect on that after this season, which, hopefully we can extend as long as possible. And in that moment, we'll certainly, maybe sit back and reflect and think of things. I wish I would have done this, or maybe done that better. Or, if I get to be a head coach, do this differently. We'll think through those things. But right now, it is fully focused on serving our guys well and this program well.
What gives you confidence that this team could be capable of, making some noise?
Who our guys are, and I think some of our play this year, to be honest with you, I think the encouraging part for me as we go down the stretch is there's some really good things that have happened. We've beat some really good teams, certainly in the non-conference. Alabama, UCLA win is looking better and better, as their season goes on, and we've had great moments in games and league play, so that gives me, belief that we got more that we can be and be better consistently. And I know the heart of our guys and the fight that they have. So those two things, yeah.
I want to ask, just watching the Wisconsin game, you guys lose by 8 points, have the 2 droughts where you don't score for like 7 minutes. Jamison really struggled, didn't make a shot at the last minute. Second chance points. All those things piled up against you. You still only lose the game by 8 points. It was seniors against sophomores, it looked like. You guys just couldn't finish enough plays to win that game, but you're in position. I mean, those little things, how can you guys in the next month accomplish those little things that change an 8-point loss into some great win for this team, I guess?
Yeah, I thought that Wisconsin game was revealing to the character of some of our guys. Bruce Thornton stepping up like he did in the second half after the first half he had was really impressive. Rebounding is an area we have to get better in immediately, specifically for Sunday. So we talked yesterday as a program, with our guys, and we just said, hey, this is an area that we feel like we can control to certainly a better degree. And I just point blank asked them, are you guys, like, this is an area I want to hold you more accountable, and I need you to accept that, and I need you to embrace that. Mm-hmm. And we all agreed it's an area that we can be better. So rebounding something we're going to work on really heightened accountability, an area we're going to do that in. And there was a difference, the age and experience of that team versus our team. Certainly, could have played a role, but them getting to the free throw line and us not, and their second chance points and our lack of was the deciding factor. We, can look at made shots versus missed shots and all that. I get the importance of that, but if we rebound better and we can get to the free throw line a couple more times, keep them off the line a couple more times, I think it could be a different outcome, because our defense had some really good moments in that game.
Basketball family, just what of your dad, your mom, your brother, your wife, all these people, the mentors in your life, what is everybody coming to say to you at this point in this moment where you're reaching out for help me, help me, what is your dad, what does everybody come to say to you, I guess, at this point?
Yeah, obviously a lot of love and support, but I think just the common theme is be yourself. And all those people you just mentioned, my family, they know who I am, and they know the characteristics that I have that they feel can, serve this program and players well. So they all, in their own way, just said, be yourself. And, yeah, I think my brother's perspective, just having played here, was a little different. We talked through that. He knows how I feel about this program, but outside of that, it was just be yourself.
I know you're in the midst of focusing on these next 6 games and whatever comes, but how do you handle recruiting in a time like this, knowing that there's going to be change in the off season, but that's still something I imagine you have to be pretty on top of?
From a recruiting standpoint, the focus is on the guys that are signed. There just isn't a lot of that's not, in my opinion, spending a lot of time on that is not the best interest of this program or our players right now. But, in the next couple days, maybe when I have a chance to sit down and process what that needs to look like. Ohio State, players from Ohio, like that stuff, it matters to me personally. And I think it's really important, and it's gonna always be important. So I don't wanna just dismiss and create this like void in that regard, but right now it's all about the guys in that locker room serving this program as well as I possibly can. And I think those guys who, committed to being here and signed here and being there for them as well.
Again, sort of looking ahead a little bit, but the transfer portal is a real thing these days, and I'm sure your guys are going to be talked to through back channels or whatever, however this works. Regardless of what this becomes, what's kind of your perspective on these rosters and how quickly they can turn over, especially when a coach leaves or is fired or whatnot?
There's a lot of factors that go into that. NIL plays a significant factor of that in the spring. And, I think over the last couple years, you've seen it just across Ohio State, the support just get better and better. And I think that has to continue to happen. And it's critical for the program. So the timing of things, there's certainly an element to that, and we've all seen the success rate of being old, having experience. I think retention, like all those things play a factor. But yeah, as Ohio State has continued to step up, and Buckeye Nation has stepped up in that regard, that's critical.
Just a couple more, we'll go around and then
Jake, you were as close of a witness of what's happened the last 2 years as anybody. I would think some of the frustration of being a coach in any situation is you teach it, you coach it, does it get executed, what you've taught? And another thing is buy-in, and are they listening, are they getting it? How do you, if you had to summarize the last 2 seasons, are those the things that are just frustrating, that what was taught didn't get executed? Not to put the blame on anybody, but just how do you summarize it?
To be honest, I haven't given that part, like just the kind of stepping back and overlooking the last 2 years. I mean, we did certainly a ton of reflecting after last season. I know Holt talked about that, some of those things publicly, and that I haven't really stepped back and just said, okay, the last 2 years have gone the way they've gone because of this. So I don't mean to like dismiss your question, but I will say this. I think some of the things that you may have mentioned there, I think there's certainly an experience factor involved here. And that's not, I haven't felt like our guys haven't fought. And so, that's probably just my initial reaction to that is like our guys have fought and they've cared. You know, could certainly take some time to reflect and dissect, or should have done this instead of that. What were the intricacies of that? But I think you saw the way our team last year finished, and I think that was I think that validates what I'm saying about the fight. You know, but yeah, I just there will be a time and place to really like when as we've struggled this year, it's more been about not how we've gotten here from the totality of a year and a half or whatever, but it's more been like, what do we got to do to get it ready for the next one? If that makes sense.
And
So
you feel they're locked in now to finish up?
After talking to our guys and the way practice went yesterday, I absolutely feel that way. Yeah. Now, as it was mentioned, there's a lot of outside factors, noise, whatever, you know. But I know this: we have great kids. They care about Ohio State. They enjoy being around each other, and you know, I think they're gonna fight all the way through to the end. So we're committed to doing that.
You mentioned that you were getting advice from people who have a lot of experience. Who were some of those people that you looked to, and what was the best piece of advice you got?
Yeah, the best piece of advice. Oof, that's challenging to maybe narrow down specifically. I think when you hear, like, you know, the Drew family, for example, really all three of them reached out in their own way and had thoughts, and that was really helpful for me. It was a pretty consistent, much like I said about my family, just this idea of you gotta be yourself and don't try to be someone else. That was I think it certainly means something when you hear that from your family, but when you hear something like that from a Scott Drew or Homer Drew or Bryce Drew, like that means something. There were several assistant coaches that I'm friends with that reached out, and you know, there were sitting head coaches across different leagues that reached out who you know, I tried to just take little things, and I didn't want to take too much, I guess, because I hadn't been a lot of time to just really sit down and have more lengthy conversations. But the Drew family was important, you know. Certainly will lean on the influence Holt had on me. I've taken, you know, when I worked with Thad, I thought there were some things he did really well that I've always wanted to be about as a head coach, so I've reflected on that. He sent me a nice message. So yeah, I don't know if I want to go through like necessary list of all the people, but I think there's the people who have mentored me, and some people who I've gotten to know over the last few years, even at a greater level, who have moved on to be head coaches. Those were the type of people that reached out. Yeah, you go.
Yeah, you mentioned when you talked with Gene Smith, when he was here Wednesday, he called you a warrior. So I guess, like, what does that mean that Gene and the program is putting the trust in you to, I guess, lead this program through the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've told you I haven't had a lot of time to think about a lot of things. But I did take some time on that first day to just think about what it means that he would ask me to do this, and the responsibility of doing this. You know, Gene's, we need to, I guess, stand up here and tell you guys how great Gene is, but I think he's someone, when you're in this profession and you know the importance of that position, and you have an opportunity to form a relationship with someone as experienced and highly regarded as he is. You know, I those moments, albeit like this, it's not a ton, but the moments we've had together, I take those very seriously. So I feel it's quite a compliment that he would say that, but I do feel and understand what he's asking, and again, that's why I want to my focus is serving this program as well as I possibly can. And right alongside that is serving our players as well as I possibly can, because I think that's what he wants. And I need to do that for him. I need to follow through with that. So that's why I haven't thought about some of the other things, why I haven't been focused on, some of the other things. And I asked our guys to worry about what's next when that time comes. I have to do that and be that example. And so I'm doing that. But yeah, when you step back and reflect and understand what he's asked, I take that very seriously. Yes.
Jake, thanks.